Hello, I'm Dan. I'm the scout leader of 1st Castleberg Settled Scouts, and we're going to have a little walk on our local park, which is next to our scout headquarters, and we're going to look at some plants and things. We're just going to look. We're not going to pick, and we're not going to disturb. We'll just look and we'll identify and see what's there. So, this plant here, we call it Jack by the Hedge. It's quite edible. The leaves, the little ones, if you can put those in salads, they taste of garlic. If you put a lot in, it just gets very overpowering. It is much better when it's younger. As it gets older, it gets stronger and stronger. So a little bit is fine, but it will get overpowering. So this small tree is an elderberry. This is where the flowers are just going to come out, and then the berries will come. So the flowers are edible. You make elderflower cordial with it and elderflower champagne, but you can eat them as a fritter. You just take the end off and dip them in batter and fry them. They're quite nice. And then the berries are edible. You make syrups and all sorts of things like that from it. It's quite a small tree. It's what part of the underwood, so underneath the big trees. So it puts up tall straight shoots. So these shoots can be used for friction fire lighting for a hand drill. They can be used for pea shooters, things like that, blow pipes, that sort of thing. For firewood, I'd leave it be. I don't like the smoke that comes off it. It burns alright, but the smoke's horrible. So if there's a choice of another wood, use that. But very useful tree. The next plant we have next to it, these ones, the raspberries, self-seeded by the birds. They're just raspberries, flowers are just to come. And they're going. So there'll be some raspberries later. And the next tree here, you can see coming in there some little cherries. This is being a cherry tree. So these are self-seeded by the birds. As soon as they start turning, the cherries will be eaten by the birds, so you're very lucky if you get one that's ripe. So the wood burns well, it's to be dry and dead. The bark can be used for making containers and all sorts of things like that. So what have we got next? We've got here is it's an ash tree, but it's dead. It's got ash dieback. It's just quite brittle. So ash is the best wood for firewood. Burns really well. You can burn it green. It burns better when it's dry and dead. This is good because it's up in the air and the air circulates around it and it keeps it dry. Where wood on the ground, it's been wet, the damp, that'll be wetter and damper, gives a lot more smoke. So you want it smoke free. So dry as wood as possible. Well, this is an ash tree with leaf. You see the leaves, and the healthy bark is a really sort of a greeny grey colour. And then this one is a bit older. That's a bigger ash tree. So the ash wood's very useful. Whereas the firewood, it stands shock, so they use it for tool handles, axe handles, hammer handles, all that sort of thing, where you're hitting something. They also used to make longbows from it. It's quite springy. So it's tent pegs and all that sort of thing, made from ash. So this one next to it This is a rowan. So its leaves are smaller than the ash, but the same sort of way it goes. And this is the berries coming. So it's flowered. Now it's going into berries because it makes red berries. So this tree is a beech tree. The shape of the beech leaf. So the beech is a really good firewood. It's quite a hard wood, especially in these northern parts where it goes really slowly. So when the leaves first come out and they're at that really bright green, then you can eat them. They're quite nice. They haven't got a big strong flavour. As they get older, they get tougher and you can't digest them. But just as they come out, they're really good. You can also eat the beech nuts, so the seeds that come out of the beech tree. Most years you're very lucky to find one, but there are years called mast years, and all the beech trees seem to produce seed at the same time, and it just floods everywhere, and you pick it up in handfuls. They're about the size of a sunflower seed. So, but beech wood was used for furniture making, and we make clog soles from it, and it cuts with machine really well. So quite a commercial timber for manufacturing all sorts of things. So on the bank in here, on the floor, this is ground elder. So the flowers are like the elderberry, but it's on the ground, so the leaves are a bit that way as well. So it was eaten as a leafy vegetable up until very recently. So it grows as weeds in people's garden. So this old bank in here is full of ground elder. And we have this tree here, which is a hawthorn. So again, when the leaves first come out, you can eat it, and you can eat the haw berries. So you get little berry in a big pip. And this one here is a dead one again. So if you want a quick hot fire, then the hawthorn sticks, the really thin sticks, it's really good. Quick cup of tea and away. Thin hawthorn sticks, but the trunk wood there, that's all dead, because that is really hard wood and that burns slow and steady. Makes good charcoal. It's good, but you have to watch out for the thorns. It is a thorn. You can see the thorns sticking out. So especially on the dead, they stick in your hand and then break off, and it goes septic, and you get a big ball of pus around it, and you have to squeeze it and pop it out, and it's not pleasant. So avoid the thorns. So this is a holly, very easily identified as a holly. Really prickly leaves. This is again part of the underwood. So holly wood is used for turning, because it's really tight grain, goes slowly, and all sorts of turning jobs from the holly. And this tree here behind is a sycamore. See the shape of its leaf? It's part of the maple family. So it has a sugary sap. So in the spring they tap the sap out and make sugars and syrups. Also as a spring tonic. It has like helicopter seeds, as all the maple family does. So the wood of this is used for kitchen utensils, spoons, bowls, all that sort of thing, dairy products, because it didn't leach out like tannic acid and stuff like that the oak does, and it's quite a soft hardwood, so it's easy to work. Burns well when it's dead. You want to look up the tree, you can see there's a dead hanging branch up there. So it's probably not best to stand under in the wind. Anyway, we'll move on. So this one's a maple, same family as a sycamore, You see the shape of the leaf? There's all the same uses as the sycamore. Quite a lot of medieval bowls were made from maple. We have here, they're just going now, the ransoms. So these where the flowers were. So the ransom is like a wild onion. Very, very, very garlicky flavour. When the leaves are fresh early in the spring, you can eat them in salads, but they have that strong flavour. You can eat the roots as well, and the flowers. And the flowers were there. So, some blackberries coming. There's a flower on the top here. Coming, and the rest of the flowers, so there will be blackberries here. There's quite a lot on this banking. They have really long, spiky, sort of tendrily vines, and go for many yards sometimes, and then they'll root at the end, and then put up more next year. That's how it spreads, as well as with the seeds. So there'll be blackberries to eat come the autumn. And then you know this plant. This is the dandelion. So the leaves are edible, and the roots edible, and the flowers edible. So also when it's in seed, the seeds can be collected and used as a tinder. They burn really, really quick. So you need to make something with it that's also flammable. So it sets fire to that really quickly. So the root can be roasted. It also can be made into a coffee substitute. And the coffee substitute, you dig up the roots, wash them and dry them out, cut them into little bits, then roast them in like dry frying them in the frying pan, and then grind them up and make them as you would a coffee. It doesn't taste like coffee, it tastes like dandelion, but you know, it was a coffee substitute. The dandelion has a milky sap, and there is a rule about edible plants that most of them with a milky sap you don't go near because it's either toxic or poisonous or whatever, but dandelion is the exception to that. We got a dandelion head here, which is what we want for the fluffy seeds. So on the other side of the path we've got some rose bay willow herb going on. Well, you can, when it's tiny, just coming up, you can eat it as a vegetable, but past that it gets too bitter. But you can pinch the top out now, just that top bit, and dry it and use it as a tea. It's quite a nice tea. And when it gets really tall and flowers and seeds, those you can collect fluffy seeds and use that as a tinder. So we've got down here some dead nettles. Their defence is they look like a nettle, but it doesn't sting. It's just all furry underneath and on top. But you can't eat it like you would a nettle. It's not a nettle. See? So we compare that with the stinging nettle. Well, there's a big one here. So, stinging nettle. Its leaves are the same sort of shape. So if you go touching nettles, you need fingers like Damascus steel. So you want to wear gloves, otherwise you'll get all tingly hands. But if we look out a nettle, we grab the end and run it down backwards, take the leaves off, the end off, so we've got a stalk. You can use this outer bark for cordage. So I'm going to split it with my thumbnail. Oh, it's quite a tough one. So it makes better cordage if you can use it dried, because it shrinks most when it's doing its first drying. So during World War II, the German army uniforms had a lot of nettle fibre in because they were short of fibres. So we want the outer bark, the inner woody bit, we can just get rid of. We can split that like that and peel it back, and we get the outer bit. So we'll split that into several bits. So ideally we want to dry this out, give it 2 or 3 days to dry, and then make cordage with it. But you can use it just as is. So I'm going to stagger the ends of this under my arm. So you just twist them together and lay it back on itself, and twist it and lay it on top, twist it and lay it on top, twist it, and as you go. So it's the twisting of the fibres together that gives it its strength. So I'm getting to an end here. So this time I'll take one of my other bits, because that's the fat end. I'll put the thin end, that, on top of there, and just twist it right over the top. So ideally you want all your ends staggering. So I'll come into another end. Like that over the top of that one. So you just keep going, adding in bits, and your string slowly grows. And on it goes. And when you've made several miles of that, you'll be able to do it without thinking. You can add bits together and twist those together to make fatter, and you can make big fat ropes if need be out of nettle fibre. It's a lot of twisting. That's the nettles. So, bringing nettles, you can eat the top, pinch out the top. Even now that's quite edible. It's better when it comes up in the spring. My favourite way of cooking them is just a knob of butter and sweat them down in that. It's really nice. Make soups with it. That top bit you can dry and make tea. Very useful plant. So in the winter, when you just get dead stalks, you can use those for fire lighting. So they're just about finished now, they just got away, but second half of the winter, early spring, they're there, ready for use, and stood up dry. Oh, here's my hands are a little bit tingly from the nettles. Found some docks here, which you can see the flowers and the seeds come in, and the leaf there. So this is an edible plant. You can boil it and change the water. I found it very bitter, but it also the cure for nettle stings. So I've collected a few on my way, so I put one from a plant and then move on and then carry that, so you don't notice. But just rubbing it on like that does no good. You need to crush them between your hands and roll them up, and it's the juices inside that you need. So you need to work at it. It's hard work, but squashing them, rolling them, squashing and rolling. So you'll start to notice that they're darkening in colour, and it's starting to shrink as it goes down. Because when you cook it, it cooks like spinach and goes into nothing. But you're rolling it, it's starting to get more juicy now. So you've got the nettle sting, I think that's acid, and this is alkali, or the other way around. Some botanist would tell me. It's coming on. Not quite ready yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's getting soggy now, so I think we'll squeeze some juices out. See the juices coming out? Well, that bit's the medicine, the antidote to the nettle stings. You can use that as a pad, as a poultice. Just get me on the back of my finger there. Like that. Just keep dabbing it on. Doesn't last forever, but for now it's all right. So these, the dead docks from last year, excellent for lighting fires. So you can find those usually right up into the autumn. They break off, but they do well lighting fires. So this plant here, cleavers, or you call it sticky willy, it's really, the leaves have got like hairs on and it clings to things. So the seeds from that, they get little round seeds. You can roast those and use them as a coffee substitute, or when it first comes up in the spring and it's that big, then it's alright to eat. But it's a fun plant because you can pick bits as you go along and see how much you can stick onto the person in front of you before they notice. This plant is called sweet Sicily. It's easy to identify it because of the smell. It smells of aniseed. You can smell it meters away, and it has big seeds. So these seeds were used in confectionery and sweets because they taste strongly of aniseed. It's one of my favourite wild plants. Difficult to stop eating it. It's nice. So it's one of the umbelliferas. So, but it's easy to identify because of the smell. That is the big giveaway, and the big seeds. This one's cow parsley. So you can see the size of the seeds. I brought the sweet Sicily. Much bigger. And there isn't that distinctive smell. But apart from that, they look very similar, but you haven't got the smell. And sweet Sicily, you definitely got that smell. Well, this plant we have here, we call it silver leaf. It's silver underneath. So this was grown as a food plant, and used to eat the roots. But the really thin, spindly roots, and I've never found a big fat one. But it grows quite often around where there's been field systems, and it's survived from the days when they ate it. On either side of the road here we've got medieval field systems. So there's a few plants there. We have barely scratched the surface. I didn't want to overwhelm you with too much information. So if it sparked an interest, you need to go out and look. But really you need some field guide to identify things, because you can never remember it all. But if you can spot some of the plants and not remember the name, that's the start. And so if you get interested, get a field guide or two and have a look. So I hope you enjoy your walks, see more things when you're out, and have fun.